Well, come on here. It's just not cooperating today. Oh, well. Hmm. Well, everyone, welcome to the Monday edition of the Path Forward. I hope you've had a great and very good Memorial Day weekend. Mine has been pretty hectic. Again, this is Cassandra Williamson, and welcome to the show. So, if you got the newsletter earlier that I sent out, there are a couple of topics on there I wanted to talk about. The first one is my granddaughter graduated high school. It's my oldest grandchild. Graduated high school in Harker Heights, Texas, which is near Killeen. And she graduated from there Friday afternoon. And it was really exciting. It made me feel really old to have my granddaughter graduating. If you want to catch up on that, the real short little video clip and stuff like that over on that newsletter I sent out earlier. But it was a good trip. I had to drive from Pike County, Kentucky, which is right along West Virginia border, and drive from there down to Tuscaloosa, Alabama, pick up my youngest daughter, and drive the rest of the way over to Killeen. Well, actually, I had to go to Austin first and pick up my son at the airport, then go to Killeen. And we stayed overnight down there and dropped my son off at the airport, dropped my daughter off back in Tuscaloosa, and then I headed back home, back to Kentucky. So the way from Tuscaloosa goes up 59 to 20 to whatever that is, 24 to 75. And where 75 and 40 intersect each other, many of you may have been there, may know exactly where I'm talking about. There's this intersection of I-75 and 40 coming together just west of Knoxville, Tennessee. Well, on the way in, I had seen this big sign that said, Trump Superstore ahead. And I finally found it. It was there at that exit just as you turn east on 40 off of 75. And it was right there. There's a big Trump Superstore right over there off of Watt Road. I don't know if you're familiar with the area or not, but it was right there. This big Trump Superstore. And you know me, I'm going to go check things out, especially things that I find curious. So you can watch the little 7-minute video clip or so that's over on the newsletter if you receive that. But it was fascinating, though, because here I pull into the parking lot for this. It just looks like it used to be a house. But I pull into the parking lot for this place called the Trump Superstore. And on the way in, there's this big armored truck sitting out front. It's got Trump on one side, and all that. And then across from that is a limousine that is also old and scratched and beat up. Has Trump on one side facing the traffic and a picture of Trump on the driver's side door. And then there's this Rolls Royce. It's got MAGA on the side of it and a big blow up thing beside it. And it says Trump Superstore on the building. So I walk around to the back of the building where you're supposed to go in, the entrance. I walk in. I walk to the door. The first thing I notice is there's this little outhouse-like building on the outside. It said Democratic headquarters. Door was locked and it looked like an outhouse sitting out there. So I'm laughing before I even got in. I opened the door up and here's a thing of Trump holding a flag and he's right there inside the door, and I am just cackling. I'm having a lot of fun with this, okay? Somebody said, welcome to the store. And I say, hey, good to be here. Something like that. Thank you. So I'm filming as I go through the store. I'm looking at all the stuff, and I see the owner, and the owner says hi, and I say hi back, and he kind of looks askance. Trying to figure out, oh, what's this? Who's this? Oh, no. I didn't have a question until this person spoke, and which is fine with me. I don't mind. I use this voice all the time. It's a Marine Corps trick. But anyway, so I go in, and all of my family in Eastern Kentucky are big Trump supporters, and we get along just fine. Okay. And this past week was my sister's birthday, and she's a big Trump supporter. She's disabled and all that. And my brother, who is having difficulty breathing, he's a big Trump supporter. And my cousins and other sister are all big. Everybody is a Trump supporter here. not everyone, but for the most part. A curious thing about that, I'll take a little side detour right now, is one of our neighbors who happens to be fairly well off, very well off, actually, is not a Trump supporter. But that's curious here in a holler of Eastern Kentucky. But anyway, so I go and I pick up a pair of pants, short pants for my sister. It says Trump, and get a little T-shirt for my brother that also says Trump, and a $50 bill for my other sister who lives in Pikeville, Kentucky, which is about 30 miles from here, that says this. So I ended up spending about $80 some, and I'm at the cash register right there, and the guy behind the register, he goes, "So it's going to be about 90 something." And I said, "Hey, look, do I get a military discount or a grandparents discount?" And he looks up, and I said, "Yeah, as a matter of fact, I want those 2 magnets up there on the top." So I got me 2 magnets, and I should have had them closer for this. But, you know, this one says Navy veteran. I don't know if you can read it. I don't know if it's backwards for you or not. But then that one says U.S. Marine Corps. So, yeah, I served in both of those. And so he got those 2 last remaining magnets down for me. And so he gave me a military discount. And the owner's pulled around behind me, just standing right behind me with his pink baseball cap in his hand. And as I leave, I stop filming. And I go out to my car, and I get in my car, and I notice he had walked out. Okay, we're back. Good. Glad you're all still here. Thank you so much. Lost the connection. I am up in a holler after all, and that's one of those hollows for everybody else in the country. But way up in a holler in Eastern Kentucky, right along the West Virginia border, really close to both actually, and Hatfield-McCoy feud country, Pike County. So anyway, why would I go into a place and buy things of someone that I don't support? Well, because I've got family who do support him, and that's a connection. That's family, and I have no issue with supporting them because they support him. I've got no issue with that. Our differences aren't worth a fight over and losing family over and all those kind of things. It's just not worth it to me. So I am here in Eastern Kentucky as a caregiver for all of them. And I stay really busy at doing that. And why would I not get something that they would appreciate? So I know I have a lot of people out there in some of these communities who would say, you shouldn't be doing that kind of stuff. Well, I wouldn't go in there for anything in the world. What? Well, one thing, I'm not mistreated anywhere I go, except the guy followed me out of the store. But I do what I need to do in Tennessee and West Virginia and Kentucky and Texas. I've had no problem. As a matter of fact, go into a restaurant anywhere in Texas where we were located, and from Austin to near Huntsville to Nacogdoches and all these places, go in restaurants. Got no problem with anyone. And I'm me all the time. None. Same thing back here in the hills of Eastern Kentucky. No one bothers me back here, but I'm also confident in who I am, and I'm not offensive about it. I'm not going around going, you got to do it this way. Or standing in line at the local Walmart going, Oh, come on, you got to call this. Can't you tell? And I'm going, really? No, they can't tell when you start talking. I know. Yeah, right, right, right. So I don't pay any attention to it anymore. I do pay attention in one respect, though, because I want to talk about it. I want to talk about how people can survive and deal through things like this. So that's what it's all about. So, what is this day, though? Today is the end of Memorial Day. My family, my personal family, goes way back with military service in this country. Mom's side, John Scaff, died somewhere in the early 1800s, well, after 1838 anyway, but died somewhere, had served in the Revolutionary War out with a battalion or a regiment out of North Carolina, out of Johnson County and Edgecombe County, North Carolina, in that area. Had served, had marched up into Maryland and Virginia and Maryland and all the way into Pennsylvania. Served in the Battle of Brandywine, was there at Valley Forge with George Washington for that winter of infamy that was really cold and lost a lot of people just from the cold. John Scaff served in the Revolutionary Army, the Continental Army, for 3 years. The only reason he got out was because he got shot in the ankle and it blew one of the bones out of his ankle and he couldn't walk on his leg anymore. So they discharged him out. That's on mom's side. My dad's side, that person would have been Alden Williamson, who was born in 1750 and died in 1860. He served at the beginning stages of the Revolutionary War in a militia from Virginia, from down in Russell County, Virginia. And his service was in the Battle of Point Pleasant, which was in West Virginia. It's one of the prelude wars, battles leading up to the Revolutionary War. This would have been in 1775, just before the Jefferson wrote the Declaration of Independence as a very young man. But all this stuff was taking place, and my family has been involved in this stuff, and we have a keen sense of service to this country, and that's the problem that we're running into with what's going on in the current administration, is that they have no sense of honoring the fact that many of us, people like me, just about every one of us who have been in the military as a veteran or as an active duty military person, we have strong connections to the history of this country. We put service ahead of self. We've been doing that for generations. And yet, this administration, following the Project 2025 guidelines, wants to kick out people for no good reason other than they're just like me. Why? There's no reason for that. None whatsoever. There's no scientific reason. There's no logical reason. There's no moral or ethical reason. None. We've been serving in our military for centuries. The one that I know about specifically is Albert Cashier out of the Civil War. Went in, had lived as a man a year before the war, went into the war as a man, served honorably throughout the time he was in the Army, and then got out and lived as a man, as himself, all the way up until the day he got sick, latter days of his life. And somebody found out that he wasn't really, genetically, he wasn't genetically or externally a man. He was a woman. And all of his buddies who had fought with him in the Civil War came to his defense whenever they tried to yank his pension, because he was getting a pension from the Civil War. They all came to his defense. This was a person like me serving in the Civil War who died somewhere around 1912 or maybe 1920, somewhere in that period of time. But that was Albert Cashier. We've been around a long time serving, and you all don't know it. You don't know the history. And you're going to whitewash the history of our country and try to remove stuff like that. You're going to remove this one particular person because in the middle of the 2010s, somewhere around in there, Casimir Pulaski, his body was exhumed to be moved to another location, and somebody found out that structurally, structurally, skeleton wise, he also was at the very least intersex. So who is Kazimierz Pulaski? Well, the founder of the cavalry of the U.S. Army, Polish general, came over here and helped Washington get his troops in line to win the Revolutionary War. And you'll find his name all over this country. Pulaski County, Pulaski City, Pulaski Road, Pulaski this. But yet he served our nation. Albert Cashier served our nation. There have been many, many, many others, and you probably never know all of them. Probably never will find out about them. But they're there. We've been there. I have a friend who joined the Navy in 1956 as a man, made it up to chief in the Navy, got out in I think it was 1968, somewhere around there, 67 or 68, got out and then transitioned fully, completely, physically, in every way, and was working in IT stuff and equipment, stuff like that. IT in the early 70s in California, and the Army, he was doing contract work for the Army. And the Army had begged him to come back in California. They begged him to come back in. He went back in, but as his true self and not as the previous version. And they let him go in. They knew, the command knew about him, about her. And but until DC found out about it, and they tried to kick her out. Well, they couldn't. They could ask for her to leave voluntarily because, California supported her. She was doing a great job. Everything she was doing was fantastic. No issues at all. Kind of like the people who are serving now who are being kicked out. Exactly like that. Well, she ended up with 2 honorable discharges. One for being the Navy chief and the second for being in the Army as her. So, and this person is living now, she's about 87 probably, right? Maybe even 88, living in California, in Long Beach. Great person. Love her and her family that was there with her when I met them a number of years ago. We've been here all the time, folks, and you're going to kick out people like that. You're going to kick out people like the space scientist who has got years of experience. Been a lot of money been spent on training her and putting her through all of these programs to become a colonel in the Space Force. She's being kicked out. Why? Well, who the F knows? I can tell you why. I can tell you why. That's because you got somebody running. Let me get my picture back along a little bit. I got to do the scanning thing. There it is. Okay. All right. So there's no reason to kick these people out of the military. Serve their country. They went in to serve something bigger than themselves. They were not focused on self. And you're going to say, yeah, they trained. Well, they just wanted to live. Now that part has been completed for them in their lives, they're able to do their jobs even better because they're not focused on trying to hide from all the disgusting people who think they shouldn't be around. Yeah, that's just the way it is right now. But it shouldn't be. It should not be. The only reason they're kicking them out is ideological. Ideological. There are people over on Fox News who do nothing but rant and rave and rave about trans people day in and day out. It's a constant theme on something about trans people somewhere on Fox News and any one of their talk shows or the talking heads, that far right media that they are. They like to pretend they're not media, but they are. They are media. Don't let them fool you. So, just Saturday night, a week ago, they were talking about trans elders. All 4 of them were talking about trans elders on there. Jason Chaffetz actually didn't say anything horribly bad about them, but he agreed that they shouldn't be in nursing homes. There was a trans elder in a nursing home up in New Hampshire. Lo and behold, And then the lady who was one of the co-hosts on the show says, it's immoral and it's unethical. And no, I wanted to shout back at her. I says, what you're doing is immoral and unethical. You are villainizing a whole group of people. You started out by claiming you want to protect kids. Then you went to teenagers. Then you went to anyone under 21 and 23. And now you're going after adults too. And also we find out from HHS, Health and Human Services Secretary, that they're going to try to reinstitute all of the mental health institutions. Why? Well, there's only one good reason. They want to go back to the 1950s. You know what was happening in the 1950s in mental health institutions for LGBT people? Electroshock therapy. Alan Turing, and most of you probably won't know Alan Turing, okay? Inventor of the algorithms for computers, computer processing things. And a very, very smart person. I can't even tell you everything he did. But they institutionalized him and tried electroshock therapy on him because he was gay. But yet, he's the one who deciphered the German code during World War II. But, you know, he was gay, so couldn't be good, right? No, they're using the same things today to go after LGBT people. They use trans as a way to get to the most people that they can possibly get to. But you can read the forward in Project 2025 that was written by Dr. Roberts, Kevin Roberts. You can read that forward and you can see that they're going down line by line by line by line. Page 4 and 5 of that introduction, Roberts actually talks about and tells you what he thinks about removing all the words from across the whole of government, like sexual orientation, gender identity. Page 4, bottom. Top of page 5, he says, all these things shall be stopped in terms of research. No more research into any of those things. You know why? They want to drive them out of society. They want to drive them under the floorboards of the closet that they all came out of at one point in their lives. He wants to push them back, drive them down, make them disappear so that they can say, no, we don't have any of those people in this country. Like somebody else we've heard of national government not too terribly long ago. That's what they're trying to do. And then on page 5 in the middle of that page, you know what else they do? They equate trans people with pornography and say deliberately and very clearly they should all be in jail. I mean, this is craziness, folks. And what we have happening across the whole of the federal government right now, what do we have happening? Can you tell me? Can you tell me what is happening across the whole of federal government right now? Purging everything that has to do with anything like that. They have ideologically taken over the whole of the federal government. And they're doing the same thing across our academic institutions, across the whole of the country, and across the academies. They're creating ideological purity tests and controlling people to the point of telling them what to think and how to go about doing it. And if they deviate from that, they fire them. Folks, this is not a good time to be in America as an LGBT person. It's a difficult time for many people who aren't as privileged as I am. It's just a crazy time because there's no sense to anything that's being done. It was either this morning or yesterday for a Memorial Day service. Pete Hegseth is starting a monthly prayer program in the Pentagon. And guess who his first pastor was? He wants to switch out and invite different pastors every month to come in and talk and lead the prayers. The first one, and I've been warning about this from day one. The first one was his pastor from his little church in Tennessee, who is a Christian nationalist who he says this, not me, these are his words, okay? This is not coming from something inside. This is exactly what this person thinks. And most people have no clue as to what that degree of Christian nationalism actually means. I'll tell you. It means that you have the Christian nationalist up here They oversee the operations of the whole of the government and the country, and everything is beneath them. They run it. And that's what we're seeing starting right now in this government, right now across the federal enterprise. We see people just towing the line and going along with this. You see Fox News shifting completely over towards all kinds of things that have to do with faith and religion. And notice that I don't care if it were Muslim, if it's Islam or Christianity or Hinduism, they would all try it. But the one that is gaining traction in this country is Christian nationalism right now. And it is not biblical. It is not biblical. If you've read anything to do with, say, pick the Beatitudes out of the New Testament, where Jesus was talking to the crowds on the mountain, on the hill. Just take a moment and tell me what you think Jesus was doing and who was around him. There was the least among them in their communities. He went to the people who were leopards. He went to the prostitutes. He went to them and he was engaging with them. He talked to the people directly. He didn't shut people out. He didn't close down the border and say, you can't come in here. As a matter of fact, he was sent to across the border to protect his birth. So look, there's nothing Christian about Christian nationalism. Nothing at all. It's in name only. It's a slogan. And it's ideological purity. Let's see what the comments have to say. Bum, 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 bum. Mine does too, but I've never lost anybody that I know of during a war. They always made it past. Let's see, this is my friend in Georgia, King Ray. And let me see, here's another one. Uh-oh. Your lips aren't matching the video. Fucks with my vertigo refreshing. Refreshing too. Sorry about that. I lost connection here up in the holler. Let's see. They want nothing but virile, straight white men. Yeah, right, Cassandra. It makes 0 sense. Okay, that's stupid, though. They are the largest employer. Yes, they are. The military and the federal government's the largest employer of LGBT people in the country. But in the 1950s, though, during the Lavender Scare, they just kicked them all out because they consider them to be security risks. No, that wasn't the real reason. No, they treated them the same way they want to treat all of us today. You know. Mm-hmm. Yes, it can. It's live. I'm live. They're let's see. Let me go down here. They're evangelist, extremist, and not about Christianity at all. I agree with that. King Ray, I agree with that 100%. They have one motive: power. And along with that, money. You've got Paula White in the White House. Come back tomorrow around noon-ish, and at 6, we'll do it again. I may just keep up the same old thread because I get pretty irate about all this stuff. And so I just want to thank everyone who has been watching. Thank you so much. I see that King Ray has been over there on YouTube. The count that's up in the corner under the little eyeball thing, you can't really trust that because there are sources where there are people watching on X and I have 2 X accounts and on Facebook and all that. And they're drive-by watchers too. There's people who drive by and watch. That's where a lot of people watch from. They're drive-by watchers. Yeah, because they won't engage. You know, they're afraid to. Come and join us. I don't care if you oppose anything that I say. It does not threaten me, who I am, if you think differently. It just doesn't matter to me. As a matter of fact, I encourage viewpoint diversity. If there are people who think differently, believe differently, have completely different set of belief systems or whatever, I don't care. I would love to have you challenge me and at least talk with me. Let's talk. George Washington was right. Hamilton and Jefferson just destroyed the country whenever they started fighting among themselves over what was the right way to run the country. They did it in the newspapers of the time. Anyway, I could go on. It's 30 minutes in. Have a great evening, everyone.